Missiles, nuclear doctrines, and international intrigue. Sounds like a blockbuster movie, right? But this isn't fiction. The United States is now on high alert, and for good reason. Russia has rewritten its nuclear rulebook, and the implications are sending shockwaves around the globe. Are we on the verge of a game-changing escalation? This isn't just about Ukraine or Russia anymore. It's about global security and the potential for catastrophe. Grab your popcorn, or maybe your emergency kits, because this story just got a whole lot darker. Why the stakes are higher than ever. It all started with Ukraine firing US-supplied long-range missiles deep into Russian territory, a move that had been anticipated but still sent shockwaves through the geopolitical landscape. For Ukraine, this was a calculated strike aimed at key Russian military targets. But for Russia, it was seen as a direct threat, one that demanded a strong response. And respond they did. Vladimir Putin swiftly updated Russia's nuclear doctrine, effectively turning up the heat on an already volatile conflict. Suddenly, the stakes are no longer confined to Eastern Europe, they're global. This escalation raises crucial questions. How far is Russia willing to go? Will the United States and its allies maintain their support for Ukraine, even as the risks increase? And most importantly, are we inching closer to a nuclear confrontation? As tensions rise, it's clear that this isn't just about military strategy, it's about survival on a global scale. Ukraine's missile move, the catalyst. Ukraine's deployment of American Army tactical missile system missiles marked a turning point in this war. These advanced weapons are capable of striking targets with pinpoint accuracy from hundreds of kilometers away. For Russia, their introduction was a clear message. Ukraine isn't backing down, and it has powerful allies. Russia claimed to have intercepted most of the missiles, but at least one reportedly struck a military facility, igniting a fire and escalating tensions further. In response, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused the United States of orchestrating the strikes. If long-range missiles are operated by American experts, Lavrov warned, it marks a new phase of this Western war against Russia. This wasn't just another day at the office for Moscow. It was a wake-up call, one that forced them to rethink their strategies and prepare for even greater challenges. Russia's Nuclear Doctrine 2.0. Vladimir Putin's revised nuclear doctrine is more than just a political maneuver, it's a game-changer. The new policy states that any attack on Russian territory, even with conventional weapons, could justify a nuclear response if those attacks are supported by a nuclear-armed nation. This isn't just posturing. It's a direct warning to NATO and the United States. Moscow sees their support for Ukraine as an existential threat, one that could push them to take drastic measures. For the Kremlin, this isn't just a regional conflict anymore. It's a high-stakes showdown with nuclear undertones. While the Pentagon has dismissed these changes as irresponsible rhetoric, the implications are impossible to ignore. Putin's move has effectively blurred the line between conventional and nuclear warfare, creating a dangerous new reality for global security. This shift doesn't just affect Ukraine or Russia, it sends shockwaves across the entire globe, altering how nations view security and warfare. The global implications. Putin's revised doctrine has far-reaching consequences, not just for Ukraine, but for the entire world. With the introduction of long-range weapons like Army tactical missile systems, Russia faces a new kind of threat. These mobile launch missiles can be fired from virtually anywhere, making them nearly impossible to track or intercept in time. This unpredictability creates a highly volatile situation. Russia's military now has to consider the possibility that any incoming missile could carry a nuclear payload. This uncertainty increases the risk of catastrophic miscalculation, a scenario where one wrong move could spiral into a full-scale nuclear conflict. It's not just about deterrence anymore. This is a high-stakes game where every player is operating on a hair trigger. The balance of power is fragile, and one misstep could send the world hurtling toward disaster. North Korea joins the picture. As if things weren't complicated enough, North Korea has entered the equation. Reports indicate that Russia has enlisted up to 10,000 North Korean troops to support its efforts in Ukraine. These soldiers are believed to be stationed near critical conflict zones, adding yet another layer of complexity to an already multifaceted war. North Korea's involvement underscores the growing international dimension of this conflict. It's no longer just about Ukraine or even Europe. It's about global alliances and the shifting balance of power. For the United States and its allies, this development raises troubling questions. How far are countries like North Korea willing to go in supporting Russia? And what does this mean for the broader geopolitical landscape? The addition of North Korean forces highlights just how unpredictable and interconnected this conflict has become. The U.S. strategy: prepare but worry. While the United States has publicly dismissed Russia's nuclear rhetoric as bluster, behind the scenes, preparations are in full swing. Surveillance systems in Poland are on high alert, monitoring every move, while Patriot missile defenses have been deployed across key areas in Ukraine. At the same time, Washington is grappling with a delicate balancing act. Supporting Ukraine is crucial, but doing so without provoking Russia into an even more aggressive response is a challenge. Meanwhile, the irony of Russia's complaints hasn't gone unnoticed. Moscow has spent over 1,000 days launching its own missiles into Ukraine, yet it cries foul when the tables are turned. This hypocrisy highlights the complex layers of this conflict and the broader power dynamics at play. For the U.S., it's a fine line to walk, balancing military support with strategic caution to avoid a direct confrontation. The battlefield reality. On the ground, the situation remains dire. Ukrainian forces, despite their resilience and access to advanced Western weaponry, are facing immense pressure. Russian troops, bolstered by North Korean reinforcements, continue to make gains in key territories. For Ukraine, every victory is hard-fought, and every inch of ground matters. This isn't just about survival. It's about sending a message to the world that they won't back down. At the same time, Russia shows no signs of slowing down. With little accountability for its losses, the Kremlin continues to pour resources and manpower into the fight, creating a grim and relentless battlefield reality. The human cost of this war continues to rise, with no clear end in sight. Donald Trump, the wild card. As if the situation weren't already volatile, former U.S. President Donald Trump has added a new twist. With his claims of being able to resolve the conflict in just 24 hours, Trump has become a looming factor in the calculations of both Ukraine and Russia. For Ukraine, this means ramping up efforts to secure as many advantages as possible before any potential shift in U.S. leadership. For Russia, it's about stalling and strategizing, hoping that Trump's promises might lead to a more favorable outcome. Trump's re-entry into the geopolitical arena adds yet another layer of uncertainty to an already unpredictable conflict. His promises may or may not hold weight, but they're impossible to ignore in this already complicated equation. Where do we go from here? The world is now at a critical juncture. Putin's nuclear rhetoric, combined with the introduction of long-range missiles, has created a dangerously volatile situation. While both sides continue to dig in, the risk of miscalculation grows with every passing day. For the United States, this is a moment of careful strategy, supporting Ukraine while avoiding a direct confrontation with Russia. For Ukraine, it's about proving their resilience and leveraging every resource at their disposal. For Russia, it's about projecting strength without crossing a line that could lead to global catastrophe. The coming weeks and months will be critical. Will diplomacy prevail, or are we heading toward an escalation no one can control? And there you have it, a high-stakes geopolitical drama playing out in real time. The consequences of any misstep could be devastating, but one thing is certain: the world is watching. Here's hoping cooler heads prevail, because in a nuclear conflict, there are no winners, just survivors left to pick up the pieces. Thanks for watching. If this video gave you something to think about, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay informed, stay safe, and let's hope for a future where headlines like these become history, not prophecy.